Let's get to that tier where I got 6 teams here. And as a Packers fan, it kills me, but they are in this tier. Green Bay Packers with Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, Savion Williams. Now, obviously, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson going to play. Who knows with all their injury history, but they have a loaded receiving core. I just don't know if they have any true dudes in that receiving core. And then a loaded tight end room, too, with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. After them, I have the Browns, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Deontay Johnson, and then their tight end position of David Njoku and Harold Fannin Jr. Raiders, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Jack Bash, Deontay Thornton, Brock Bowers, obviously the headliner there. The Commanders are in this tier with Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Zach Ertz, and Ben Sinnott at tight end. Saints with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, Cedric Wilson, and then a deep tight end position with Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and Taysom Hill. And lastly, your New York Giants with Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, and then Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger at tight end. Thoughts?
I'll start with the Saints. The big question mark is obviously the health of Chris Olave. When he's healthy, my goodness, and he's dealt with some scary stuff. Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, you've got some real burners in that room. And then you've got the positional versatility at the tight end position with Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill. So many different ways you can use these threats in the New Orleans Saints offense. I'm really excited to see how the new head man in town is able to implement his stuff with all these gadget type players. Well, Taysom Hill is really the gadget type player. For the Giants, Malik Neighbors is an all-star. Darius Slayton's a guy that's probably overlooked. Wan'Dale Robinson, and then Jalen Hyatt. I remember watching Jalen Hyatt in college being like, God, this guy's going to be making plays in the NFL. They just need to find a way to protect whoever it is playing quarterback. And
they got speed.
And get Malik Neighbors the football. And if Malik Neighbors is double covered, you've got a couple other pretty good options there. And for Giants fans, I know they're excited to see how that quarterback situation turns out. Commanders, look, what version of Deebo shows up? Because if Deebo shows up in great shape, this offense is going to hum. And we know Jaden Daniels is going to show up ready. Terry McLaurin, a lot of questions about his contract in Washington, but I think he stays put. This is just one of those situations you don't jump ship from. The Raiders, look, they're going to live in 12 personnel. Okay, they just went out and said they're not trading Michael Mayer. He's not going anywhere. So it's Mayer, Bowers, and Ashton Genty at the running back position. Jacoby Myers is a guy that's probably overlooked league-wide. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, but with the volume that Brock Bowers got, a guy like Jacoby Myers is in the shadows a bit. I think this offense could be a lot of fun. Geno Smith is obviously somebody that can distribute the football well. For the Browns, my biggest question is, when it gets cold, is Deontay Johnson going to play? Because he opted not to go into the game when it was cold because he couldn't feel his fingers. We've all been there, man. I understand, but it doesn't get any warmer in Cleveland. David Njoku, superhero, looks like a Marvel character, kind of plays like it too. So whoever plays quarterback for that group, I mean, Jerry Jeudy showed last year that he had his renaissance, all right? And if Deontay Johnson can have a renaissance this year, that was the leading receiver in the AFC North a few years back. So don't forget.
I am I think all these receiving cores are intriguing to me for one reason or another. Like I go into this season watching all of these and being like, man, there's a thing about each that I just like, they could be so much better than this, like so much better than the average tier. But I think you almost have to put them here because there's just a lot of unknowns. The Raiders to me are so intriguing because you have this pairing of Geno Smith, who is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, like consistently top 3 in the NFL in completion percentage over expectation. That, NGS stat that basically says like into tight window throws, things of that nature, as good as it gets in the league. And what he has now with the Raiders is, in my opinion, and what the stats say, is the receiving core with the best ball skills in the entire NFL. Jacoby Myers last year did not drop a single pass on 87 catches. Not a single one. Jack
Unreal.
Bash, your second rounder. He dropped one pass a year ago on 62 receptions. Brock Bowers last year, only 4 drops on 116 catchable, 3.4% drop rate. And then obviously Michael Mayer as well, who has incredible hands. So like you have a receiving core built to make these tight window receptions with the best tight window thrower in the NFL. So like that is an interesting pairing to me. You have the Browns who have Deontay Johnson as your number 2, who was, when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, a number 1 type of wide receiver. You have Harold Fannin, who led college football, not just tight ends. He led all of college football in receiving yards last year to be your tight end too, which would be like a receiving tight end position in that offense. I mean, the Commanders with Debo, who again, in his prime, was one of the best receiving, like best gadget weapons, best just playmakers in the entire NFL, but has kind of ate his way out of that the past few years with how he looks. But if he wants to show up motivated this year with a possibility of a new contract looming, you could have one of the best number 2 receivers in the league. Green Bay Packers, obviously, we've talked about them ad nauseum, and just like all these young guys, just when does the light switch flip on for them? And then the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints, probably 2 of the 5 fastest receiving cores in the NFL. I mean, you have your 1 and 2 for both those teams with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton. Their 1 and 2 are both 4-3 guys. And then you have 4-3 guys lower down the roster as well. So like there is speed to play with for both those offenses. It may not matter with the respective quarterback positions that I think we put in the F tier back a few pods ago. But yeah, I do think all these are very intriguing receiving cores for one reason or another. Let's get to the B tier, where they aren't just intriguing. These are darn good receiving cores. It's just how high can the ceilings of all of them push? Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals, who I'm making maybe a little bit of a call here, putting them, given what we saw last year from them. Definitely was not a B tier receiving core last year. But this is me saying Marvin Harrison Jr. from year 1 to year 2. I'm expecting jump into stardom, right? I'm expecting you have a true number
continuity.
Yes. So you have what I hope becomes a top 10 receiver in the NFL, paired with what definitely is a top 3 tight end in the NFL right now in Trey McBride. And then some good pieces alongside that in a Michael Wilson Jr., in a Greg Dortch, that can be your complementary 2s and 3s in that offense. So that's why I'm putting them in the B tier. I have the Houston Texans, who obviously Nico, the headliner, another top 10 sort of wide receiver in the NFL, alongside a lot of guys who are very talented. We'll see how it ends up going. But Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel, John Mechie, hopefully Tank Dell is back from his injury. Don't know about that one, but we'll see. Dalton Schultz as well at the tight end position. I have the Chiefs in this tier with Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Royals. We never got to see it fully healthy last year. Hopefully we do this year. And then obviously Travis Kelce at tight end. Atlanta Falcons in this tier with Darnell Mooney, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Those are the real headliners there. Tampa Bay Bucks, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Meke Buka, Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan, and then Cade Otton at tight end. Indianapolis Colts with Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, and then Tyler Warren at tight end, your first rounder. And then the Jaguars. I felt a little bad putting them here because they could even be like an S tier receiving core with what they have.
We don't know yet.
Hedging at this point in time with Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, Travis Hunter, Parker Washington, and then Brenton Strange at tight end.
Look, these are fun groups right here, okay? The B tier is fun groups. And I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. at the presser as well. I think he does have a B tier type jump for this unit. Trey McBride.
He's coming for Trey McBride's job, I think.
Trey McBride, unbelievable. And obviously Kyler Murray, as talented as anybody in the National Football League. I just realized Kyler Murray was a first-round pick in the Major League Baseball draft.
Yeah, first guy ever, first round.
Okay, so I knew he was like, because I'm a baseball guy. I got drafted baseball and football. I thought maybe 10th round, like a Russell Wilson type, 6th round, 7th round. He was a first-round pick, bro. That's unbelievable. Okay.
I mean, he's got the movement skills of what you would want, right, on a baseball field.
He's Ricky Henderson on the base path, and like he hits bombs as well. So yeah, that's my Cardinals bit. For the Texans, go back and watch the first 7 weeks of the season, okay, last year. And just imagine a better offensive line with what they were doing with Nico Collins, because that's a man right there. That's that true X receiver you're looking for. Obviously, Tank Dell's health is going to be a huge swing. for this football team because he was so important to him 2 years ago in that rookie campaign. Mechie is another guy that's got explosiveness. But if Tank Dell and Nico Collins are on the football field, and Dalton Schultz, who's a top 10 guy, in my opinion, if they're all on the football field at the same time, and that guy, CJ Stroud's the quarterback, look out. It's dangerous. And for the Chiefs, Rashee Rice was playing like a true number one before he got hurt. Hollywood Brown obviously has some traits that people love to see at the receiver position. Xavier Worthy, if he can just slow down a little bit, okay? So many of those explosive plays, he was just stepping out of bounds last year. Get him to figure out some spatial awareness, and you're looking at maybe an A-tier receiving group. I think Kelsey looks great. I think he's going to have another Travis Kelce season. He may not, break the records that he's set before, but I think he's a guy that not many people are going to bitch about this year. I'll say that about Travis. And for the Falcons,
is he showing up in shape this year? What's he going to
look
like?
He is in shape. He looks great. He's clean cut. Okay. He's in shape. He's living the life. He's a rock star, but he's doing it the right way. The Falcons. I like the Falcons because they got a little bit of that basketball team going on with different body types. You get the point guard, shooting guard, you got the small forward, you got the power forward, you got the center. Well, they got all of it with Drake London. He's that big body type. Darnell Mooney, shifty, get in and out of his breaks, find the soft spot in the defense 20 yards down the field. And their quarterback's going to be able to get him the football this year. We're not going to have any wasted reps at the quarterback position like we saw with Kirk Cousins. Bijan Robinson, obviously a huge part of this offense, run and pass. And Kyle Pitts is the biggest question mark. If Kyle Pitts is as advertised finally, and I'm not going to put my money down on that, this might jump into an A-tier type receiver room. The Colts, Michael Pittman, true number one, downs, explosive. Get him the football. Watch him make people miss. Get him the football a lot. Adonai Mitchell. This group's got a lot of talent. And then obviously the guy that I wanted to be a Chicago Bear, Tyler Warren. Line him up anywhere, do anything with him. And for the Jaguars, like you said, there's a lot of unknown as it pertains to how Travis Hunter is going to be, what this offense looks like under Liam Cohen, and how much they get out of Trevor Lawrence. But BTJ, phenomenal way to start a career.
Yeah, I hedged the Jaguars, putting them in the B tier, even if I think there's a good shot they end up in the A tier, maybe even higher. But just because Travis Hunter, compared to, your guys getting the hype he got at the receiver position in recent years, Jamar Chases of the world, the guys who have really come in and hit the ground running, he was not a polished product just by nature of the fact that he played both ways. So if he is featured at wide receiver, and even if you are playing him a little bit both ways in Jacksonville, it's going to take away a little bit from your receiving core. And his rawness as a wide receiver and as a route runner means I just don't know if we see, 1,000-yard year one, the way we saw from his teammate Brian Thomas Jr. or some of these other guys that we've put in that tier of talent in recent years. So that's why I put him in this B tier, but still obviously a great receiving core. Best by far that Trevor Lawrence has had in his entire career. The one team that I wanted so badly to put in the A tier, and I truly do think by the end of the season we'll be talking about him as an A tier. Unfortunately, we may not actually get to see that on a football field in terms of the production because I put their quarterback position at the F tier. The Colts.
Yep.
This is one of my favorite receiving cores in the NFL. I think Adonai Mitchell is on the precipice of being like a number one type of wide receiver. You watch him run routes, and his ability to get open against the best corners in the NFL is what it looks like for the elite guys. He just is a little bit of a head case in terms of his consistency, in terms of his reliability at this point in time. But the guy is so freaking talented. Josh Downs as well. As a slot receiver, talk about guys getting open at that position. He's as good as he gets in the NFL. I think, honestly, Michael Pittman Jr., you said is number one. He's probably your third best option there, ideally, at the end of the day, maybe even fourth with Tyler Warren there now in the fold.
Yep.
So I think that the potential for this receiving core is off the charts, like truly S-tier potential. But if Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson aren't any better than we've seen them in the past, it might be all be for naught. And this might just be like a super run heavy offense at the end of the day, unfortunately, even though they've built this crazy receiving core.